Qodo provides AI agents and agentic infrastructure for the software development lifecycle. It's not for vibe coding, it's for enterprise grade software that is maintained over long term and has complex context involved. Qodo's landscape of offerings can be grouped by agents and platforms. At the agentic layer, we have Qodo Gen, which integrates with your IDEs. We have Qodo Merge, which integrates with your Git platform. And we have Qodo Command, which is a CLI-based tool that can integrate into your CI/CD. At the platform layer, of course, we have the models. We also have Qodo Aware, which is a RAG and a knowledge graph layer that helps these agents do a better job. And we have the basics, dashboards and analytics, SSO, enterprise support, and so on. This video will focus on Qodo Merge. Qodo Merge is an agent that integrates into your Git workflow. This could be your GitHub, GitLab, or Bitbucket. And the purpose of this integration is to reduce the cycle time for reviews and merge. That means you get faster reviews without any compromise on quality. In a typical Git collaboration workflow, it is essentially a loop or iterations between the human developer and the human reviewer. The human developer writes code, builds a feature, fixes a bug, submits it via PR for a review, and then the human reviewer steps in, identifies bugs, recommends fixes, which go back to the developer to make these fixes and back to the reviewer. So that is the loop that Qodo Merge steps into. And the purpose is to reduce the latency or the gap between the human developer and the human reviewer by giving both of these roles certain tools to perform their tasks in a better and more efficient format. The inputs that go into Qodo Merge performing the automated review are as follows. Of course, we take into account the code changes of the feature branch. That's one. Number two, if you have Qodo Aware set up, then it's a RAG and a knowledge graph that goes into the Qodo Merge review context as well. Then you have the acceptance criteria from the planning tool. So this could be Jira, Linear, whatever. Like we take the acceptance criteria and we take that into account for the review. And finally, best practices and coding guidelines that you have set up for your organization or team. The use cases for Qodo Merge are addressing the following personas. It can offer something for the human author. It can offer something for the human reviewer, and it can act as your pair programmer. Let's look at each one of these in further detail. When the developer creates a pull request, or if you're using GitLab, let's call it a merge request, Qodo steps in and generates titles and descriptions. While doing that, it preserves the original description the human wrote down, and it additionally generates a changes diagram and a files walkthrough. On a typical PR, of course, depending on the complexity, the author could save anywhere between 50 to 45 minutes describing these. When it comes to use cases for the human reviewer, and let's assume that a pull request is marked ready for review, Qodo verifies the implementation in that PR, in that feature branch, versus the acceptance criteria that is defined in Jira or whatever other planning tools that you might use. Qodo additionally validates that the implementation does not contain security vulnerabilities and checks for code duplication. Finally, what Qodo can do is perform checks for organization-specific compliance rules as well. On a typical PR, the author and reviewer combined can save anywhere between 1 hour to 3 hours based on all of these functions. We prevent the handover lag between these two parties. We prevent acceptance criteria dilution. It reduces security vulnerabilities, reduces technical debt, and avoids compliance violations. And as your pair programmer, when the pull request is marked ready for review or a new commit is getting pushed, what Qodo will do is the following. It will suggest improvements which are commit ready, so you can just have a one-click button press to apply these fixes. Qodo factors in the best practices and coding guidelines for your team or organization while giving you these suggestions or improvements. Qodo allows for mandatory self-reviews, so you can upscale the team process by making sure that the author has to self-review the PR. And finally, Qodo also provides high-level suggestions and not just atomic improvements. Depending again on the complexity of the PR, the author and the reviewer together can save up to 3 hours. You're again preventing handover lag. You are getting a near instant initial review, which is extremely valuable for the author. You're enforcing mandatory self reviews, which improve the team processes. And of course, with all of this, you are able to reduce the debt. Let's dive deeper into these custom compliance rules. Notice the structure on the right. It's a YAML file with a list, and each list item has got 5 fields: title, compliance label, objective, success criteria, and failure criteria. As you can see, this is a YAML based configuration that is shareable across teams, projects, and organizations. This is a strict rule check. That means the implementation of the PR is verified against each and every rule. It is customizable, so you can update this YAML configuration to meet the exact needs of your organization or team. And the results are flagged in PRs, so in such an obvious and brutalist manner that you have to take it into account. Another use case for compliance rules can be to look at industry specific frameworks that your organization needs to support. Could be GDPR if you're based in Europe, or could be PCI DSS, for example, if you are in the payments uh, domain, or could be basic security rules such as the OWASP Top 10. You can define them in this YAML structure I shared earlier, and you can make sure that your PRs automatically scan for these rules. Here's an example. The example on the left is a pull request in GitHub where all the compliance rules have been met, whereas the example on the right is the same PR where compliance has not been met, and you can see the violations are being highlighted. With Qodo merge, you have both best practices and compliance rules. Compliance rules are strictly enforced, whereas best practices are guidelines and recommendations that the humans may choose to ignore on a case-to-case basis. Code suggestions for best practices, where you have code diffs and patches offered with a one-click button press for applying the fixes. Compliance violations are blocking. PRs can be configured to block the merging of violations when a PR contains compliance violations. Whereas best practices can be self-learning. That is based on human interaction with the agent. We kind of learn and evolve and improve the best practices over time.